thank you. Here we go. I guess we're on. Are we on? Usually that screen changes. I'm going to go with it. He said we're on. So, alrighty. Welcome everybody. Today is December 6, 2023. This is our 9 a.m. work session. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's hard to believe this is our second to last meeting of the year. It's been a great year, but a fast one. At this time, I would like to invite Miss Rome up. I believe she's going to bless us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Julia Rome, and I'm from the Baha'i Faith. Thank you so much for this opportunity. O thou merciful God, O thou who art mighty and powerful, O thou most kind Father, these servants have gathered together, turning to thee, supplicating thy threshold, desiring thine endless bounties from thy great assurance. They have no power save thy good pleasure. They have no intention save service to the world of humanity. O God, make this assemblage radiant. Make the hearts merciful. Confer the bounties of thy Holy Spirit. Endow them with a power from heaven. Bless them with heavenly minds. Increase their sincerity so that with all humility and contrition they may turn to thy kingdom and be occupied with service to the world of humanity. May each one become a radiant candle. May each one become a brilliant star. May each one become beautiful in color and redolent of fragrance in the kingdom of God. O kind Father, confer thy blessings. Consider not our shortcomings. Shelter us under thy protection. Remember not our sins. Heal us with thy mercy. We are weak, thou art mighty. We are poor, thou art rich. We are sick, thou art the physician. We are needy, thou art most generous. O God, endow us with thy providence. Thou art the powerful, thou art the giver, thou art the beneficent.
Thank you very much. Alrighty, we're going to ask if there's any public comments in the crowd. Seeing no public comments, I would like to invite Birch Bragg up to talk about a great thing he and his wife are doing for the community. Good morning, Birch.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Court. Thank you all very much for having us. Honored to be here. And looks like I know most of you in the crowd. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Birch Bragg, co-owner, operator of Local's Food Hub and Pizza Pub here in town. We specialize in supporting our local farmers, purchasing significant amounts of food to give them additional opportunities in the marketplace, and trying to make local food, nutrient-rich foods accessible to everybody in our community. That's pretty much our goal and our mission and the reason we exist. So here today to just briefly talk about a program that we are entering week 6 in. We've partnered with Kentucky Department of Ag and What Chefs Want, formerly Creation Gardens, large regional statewide food distributor. And it's called the Local Food Purchasing Agreement Program. So for the last 6 weeks, we have been delivering 400 food boxes, 200 on Fridays here in Frankfort to 11 different organizations, and 200 on Saturdays in Louisville to 4 different organizations. So the idea behind this program, if I were to come up with a grant, if someone were to ask me, Birch, will you write a grant program that will affect the most important parts of this supply chain and food access, I couldn't think of a better one. So essentially the USDA generated a pot of money which went down through Kentucky Department of Ag, which went out through an RFP earlier this year to several statewide purchasers, What Chefs Want included, where they actually subcontract us to do the work. We have all of these systems in place ourselves. We also have other capabilities where we have now a refrigerated truck that's being leased. We hired a staff to facilitate this program. But basically, the idea is we're paying full retail price to our local farmers, which is a significant boon to them. And then we are packing that, aggregating, storing, packing all of that into boxes, and then loading those into a refrigerated truck, and then delivering those throughout the communities of Frankfort and Louisville on Fridays and Saturdays to underserved community members specifically. So we've actually reached out to organizations who are kind of umbrella organizations who deal with underserved and at-risk hunger risk population to identify how many boxes they think they could use or need on a weekly basis. So we're really excited about this program. As you guys see here, just a little report. This is just in the month of November, so this only includes about 4 weeks. We're about to enter week 6. So we've worked with 18 producers, Kentucky producers, several of those from here in Franklin County. We spent almost $48,000 with these producers, which is significant. We're spending $12,000 a week to satisfy the food needs for these 400 boxes going directly to Kentucky producers. We delivered over 8 tons of food, 1,600 boxes, and working with 15 organizations. So for instance, here in Frankfort, you guys may have a spreadsheet. Please don't bore yourself with the details. I just want to give you kind of a quick glance at sort of how we approach this, but more importantly, the organizations that we're working with. So here in Frankfort, we have Wanda Joyce Robinson, King's Daughters, Douglas Avenue, Walter Todd, and Rosewood of the Housing Authority, so working with Executive Director David Small there. The Farmers Market, Frankfort High, Peaks Mill, we have Westridge, Bridgeport, Hearn. So it's really exciting working with the FRCs embedded within the school, city and county schools, who identify kids and families who need help with food access. So it's fairly obvious to us that this program is deeply impactful in a meaningful way, in an instantaneous way. So we're really glad to be a part of it. Just want to kind of inform you all what we're doing. I think the interesting thing about this, hopefully more grants like this come down the pipeline, whether it be from federal money, from state money, or even county and city money. I think there's a need out here, and I think what this program is really teaching us, our phones have kind of been ringing off the hook. Our Facebook messages have a lot of questions about how can I get a box to somebody, how can we sign people up. I think this is really a strong pilot program to demonstrate the need for food access initiatives here within the county. Of course, there's a great infrastructure with the emergency food pantry, a lot of churches, the farmers market, and a lot of people already in this space. But it's incredibly helpful when we have money like this coming from the USDA or coming from a larger fund, however it's generated, whether it be through grants, whether it be through tax programs to create initiatives or incentives. But it's really helpful when that money piece is there, because then we're able to actually afford to buy the most nutrient-rich food on earth, locally produced food, and get that to people who need it the most, which are typically underserved, lower-income community members. So, any help, any ideas you all might have in kind of facilitating things like this, I would love to talk to you all about that moving forward and in the future. If there is even a possibility of creating sort of a local food committee, review committee, or something that could potentially not only help with food access issues, but putting local food and becoming an epicenter of local food and culinary expertise with all the farms that we have close by, the supply chain we already have in place. Kentucky has hundreds of small producers who are able and willing at a moment's notice to scale up their production if the market will bear it. The reason we stepped into the place in the supply chain at Locals where we did is because we realized that the biggest challenge Kentucky producers have right now is selling their goods. It's a premium price good, so there's always a challenge as far as $1 or $2 difference on a pound. These farmers need that, and so they're not always being able to take advantage of subsidies that are coming down with more commodity type products they're competing against in larger multinational chain and grocery stores. So anything we can do to kind of develop that local food awareness and epicenter here in Franklin County, I think would be really beneficial. And like I said, right now when the cattle market's paying $240 off the hoof or $220 off the hoof, it's amazing to have that, taking the cows to the stockyard, as an option. But when it's paying $120, $150, it would be really nice to have a robust system in place that could purchase those retail ground beef from all of our Kentucky cattle farmers, Franklin County cattle farmers, and immediately put that in the school systems. And I know there's programs in place, but to make that market more available for our farmers. One reason I think about this a lot, it's kind of my passion, I've been in local food for 10 years. If there was a way everybody knows Frankfurt for bourbon, Franklin County for bourbon, right? And that's an amazing driver. It's a huge driver for our business just down the road from Buffalo Trace, and it's worldwide. As we all know, the demand and the foot traffic it draws and drives for communities like ours is unmatched. In addition to that, it would be amazing if we could potentially even brand ourselves as a culinary center in Franklin County that focus specifically on local food. There's a lot of amazing restaurants throughout the state and throughout surrounding counties, but it would be amazing if we could begin to commit resources, infrastructure development to a local food system. I know that the farmers market is working on a feasibility study for a community kitchen, huge piece of infrastructure that would help. Cold storage is probably the next most important thing. If you could have the ability for people to be able to store large amounts of products so that purchasers like us and programs like LFPA could then be able to buy on a consistent and regular basis. Lots of ideas out there. I know we have limited time, but just want to say thank you all very much for having me here to speak about this today. Any ideas you all have to help us kind of drive this program and make this more robust and impactful, we're wide open to. And just, some awareness about this program. We have a 7-week pilot, but the chances are, and I'm waiting to hear back now, that would end on December the 16th for us. But we are aware that there's money out there, and I think it's just been allocated in speaking with KDA to these partners to make this program run through May of 25. So potentially, if we can maintain that 400 box level through May of 25, we can affect a lot of different parts of the community. But the reality is we could do 2,000 boxes a week, and it would be kind of a drop in the bucket. I think the demand is there for real food for the community. So I'd like to open it up to any questions, if anybody has any.
Who has a question for Birch?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you guys so much for what you do. And I know we've had this conversation before, but I think you all are wonderful, and I appreciate the farming side of it. That's where I come from, and I appreciate you feeding these kids that I love so much.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate that.
Squire
I
Sebastian.
just want to thank you, Judge. Thank you for being here to share this information. So you mentioned you would like for us to figure out how to help connect.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that? How do we help connect people to you? If who hear this message today? Or
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have, not only are we participating in this program, but we are also participating in Kentucky Double Dollars program at our store. So that means that people who use SNAP and to subsidize their food purchases can walk into locals and to the farmers market in the same program, though they're more sporadic hours during the winter. But they can come in any day to locals. They can spend $20 on SNAP and they can get $40 worth of local food. That's another program we have. But in general, I think that the biggest way to help is, and I was in an ASAP meeting a couple weeks ago. We were at CARES Coalition meeting last week. So we're just trying to get the word out that if you all see demand anywhere in your worlds or in the places that you work every day for food and that food hunger gap that we could potentially fill, let us know, because again, 400 food boxes is just a drop in the bucket. And I think if we can prove that the demand is there from numerous organizations throughout the county, cities, and states, we can continue to bring more support, more funds in this direction so that we can help feed more people.
So one question,
Yeah.
again, along that line. Have you partnered with, or are you all considering partnering with the Capital City Activity Center, the
Seniors.
Because they have a program.
Exactly, and we do try to focus on
it's
kids and
never enough.
seniors specifically.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're reaching out and working a lot with the schools.
Yep.
With the particular, we did reach out to them, and we had to have the boxes at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. on a Friday morning to them, which became logistically impossible.
I understand.
And there's a whole supply chain challenge there, but basically we get all of our food delivered by Thursday, so we can pack boxes Friday morning, deliver Friday, Saturday morning, deliver Saturday. So there's a lot of logistical pieces, which I don't want to bore you all with, which is challenging in the local food infrastructure in general, trying to put together, supply chain for numerous different individual farmers for receiving and organizing all that product.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
It sounds excellent that you're focusing really on the most vulnerable, youth, seniors,
Right.
and then everyone else kind of in between who falls into some of these organizations that they connect with, so.
Right, well, thank you for
Nothing but
saying
good
that.
things.
And also to your question, I think we are going to dedicate and allocate more boxes for actual pickup at locals, which could be potential, opportunities there. And I notice how the public transit bus comes through locals. I don't know if it necessarily stops at locals, but maybe there's some synergies there that we can help.
Great, fantastic.
occurred to me, do you work at all with the social workers at the hospital? So when moms have babies and they leave, we can make sure they have the food they need?
I would love to be in touch with any members or organization to help facilitate that. That'd be
Okay,
great.
maybe we'll
That'd be
get together.
Yeah, and just one more story, because this one kind of touches at the heartstrings. 2 weekends ago, we were packing boxes, I think on a Friday morning, and Shelley Hearn reaches out, probably 8:30 in the morning, and says, hey, we have a domestic abuse case. There's 5 kids who really have nothing. They need help. 30 minutes later, they had over 30 pounds of food, and she was walking out the door with boxes. So, that's just a little example of the impact we can make.
Anything else? Birch, on behalf of Franklin County, we want to thank you and your wife, Michelle.
Thank you,
Very
appreciate
cool
it.
program, and we're here to support you.
Excellent, look forward to working together in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, appreciate your time.
Alrighty, we're going to hit the judge's report right now. Hopefully everybody had a nice Thanksgiving with their family and friends. It was nice weather. That weekend was Shop Small Saturday, on Saturday, November 25th. My wife and I got to get out and local businesses, and I was really surprised with all the people that were out supporting businesses, not only downtown, but around Franklin County. So that's important to remember, especially going into this holiday season. Road Committee met on November 27th, just talk about more things about the construction project that's going on now and the scope. So we are under construction now, and I believe Duke's going to give an update, and I know Wes is here from Codell, so a lot of exciting things going on there. Did my monthly interview with the plant board. Everything went well. We talked a lot about online portal. It's an exciting thing, and I know a lot of contractors in the community are getting used to using that, which is helping. Allie Hall went to our solid waste coordinator on Tuesday the 28th. She actually went to Elkhorn Middle School. I believe Andrew has some pictures up here. She got into the science class, and now they're wanting her on a regular basis. She did a lot of hands-on, a lot of, what goes in what bundle and things like that. And so she said it was very educational, but I know she's getting a lot of requests now from schools. And I think when we hired Allie, that's one of the things we liked about her, is that she was a school teacher, and we wanted to get back into the schools to help educate people on recycling. So we appreciate everything she's doing there. On November 29th, I was at Kentucky State University. Squire Sebastian was there also. It was a really cool thing. They've been working on Hunter Hall renovations. I think it was $2.2 million for the first 2 level. It's kind of looking at agriculture in a different way. They're spraying fields now with drones and different things like that, GIS systems, and they're going to Eastern Kentucky and doing a bunch of trial stuff on the coal mines. So I really give a lot of credit to Kentucky State University for thinking outside the box. They have a lot of cool things going on there, and we appreciate everything they're doing. We also, yesterday I went to a ribbon cutting at the Capital City Museum. They have a new Spark Places of Innovation. It's a pretty cool thing. That's from the Smithsonian, first time ever. I think the Smithsonian has loaned a display out to Frankfort and Franklin County. So I appreciate everybody's hard work there. A lot of that's the Humanitarians Council. They had a big part in that. So that was nice to see a lot of people there. Just want to remind everybody that this Saturday at 6 o'clock is the Frankfort Christmas Parade, and we've invited all employees and the Fiscal Court and everybody to walk with us and kind of as we move into the holiday season. So I do know the Fire Department, Sheriff's Department, and Road Department are all going to have a vehicle in it this year. So we're excited about that. I also want to remind everybody that next week is the inauguration. So on December 12th, I believe county's closed, everything's closed, schools are closed. So that's going to be an exciting day that we're going to welcome the governor for another 4 years. So the theme of the parade this year is Forward Together. So I think that speaks volumes. So looking forward to that, and hopefully you all can attend some of the parade and things like that. It's gonna be a big day. And I also want to comment that I guess Sherry, do you want to comment about who's going to bake the cake? Do you want to talk about that a little bit? So we, as customary, the mayor and I present the governor and his family with a country ham that I believe is coming from Birch's facility, which we're excited about, and I'm glad you're still here. And we've been tasked with the cake. So Sherry, go ahead, let it rip.
Thanks, Judge. So, my daughter is a chef is finishing her program at Sullivan University, and so there are very specific requirements in regard to the cake. So, you've got a newly minted chef that's going to make the cake for the governor and his family, the first family. So, it's very exciting in our house, and very, very exciting in our house.
Well,
I mean,
and I
she's
think-
20. She has just turned 20 and is doing this amazing thing. That will-
Everybody in this room was with Morgan just recently when we volunteered at the soup kitchen, and she was pivotal in helping us get through that meal. So when Sherry asked me, hey, what do you think? Is this a possibility? So we asked and requested, and yeah, we're happy to say that she's going to be representing us, and I look forward to delivering her cake to the governor that morning. So
Yeah, it's a pretty nice thing for a Frankfurt family.
absolutely.
You know, the Moore family has been here since the 1700s.
Yep.
It's absolutely fantastic for the Moore family tradition.
Yeah,
Continue that way.
I'm glad
Very
we can do it. So excited for Morgan and us too. So, alrighty, that's what I have, and we'll keep moving. Anybody have any comments on the? I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. What did I jump right in? Oh, how did I go in front of the road department? Duke, I'm sorry. I went out of order. I went straight from one to another. I'm surprised you didn't stand up and argue with me.
Good morning.
You thought you got out of it, didn't you?
I thought I did.
I noticed you kind of sat down in your seat a little bit more. I was like, Duke must have left.
Yeah. I just wanted to update you guys on the road department a little bit. We're still currently picking up leaves, and I think we got about another week, a little over a week of that to do. And that'll free some of our guys up a little bit, but on our road department project down in Rising Suns, they're actually probably pouring walls right now this morning. So everything's coming along pretty good down there with the weather we've had. They're doing awesome work. Arch Electric's down working on the underground utilities. We're about to get all the underground pipe for the overhead electric done. I think maybe they'll get all that pipe in today, so.
I do know later in our road trip today, we're going to go by there and kind of take a look at everything so everybody can kind of see it firsthand.
Right.
I know Wes is here with Codell Construction. I know things are going well. Got off to a little bit of a slow start waiting on some things, but
Right.
I even went down there the other day and there was 9 guys working in the rain. So I called Jim Codell and I said, you only usually hear from me if there's a problem. I said, I want to tell you, the guys are doing a great job. For them to be out there working in the rain says a lot about the contractors and things like that. So we appreciate that. But it looks like, I guess we're going parking facility first,
Right.
and then hopefully salt bin, then the big building. So we're
That's the hope.
Yep, so just as far as how's that project going, it's going, so it's exciting. Anybody have any questions for Duke or the road department? Squire Tanner?
I had a comment, I was out there a couple of days ago. You really need to go look, because you can visually see the layout rather than looking at a piece of paper. And
Right.
you can get it twisted around which way's north, which way's south, but if you go out there and look at it, it will help your concept of that project. And we're gonna do that today, I guess, so.
Anybody else? Good deal. Roop,
Thank you.
Duke, we appreciate you guys, thank you. Alrighty, we're gonna head down to the special minutes of November 20th. Does anybody have any comments about that? Seeing none, the next one is November 21 from our regular meeting. Seeing none, I believe Mr. Hancock. Jeff, come on up, buddy, you're next. Good morning.
Morning, how's everybody doing today?
Well, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
Okay, the lump sum fees are what we've already read through these once before. Squire Tanner, I want to apologize to you. Our bookkeeper has been out sick. So when you ask about the interest, I went back and did my own studying. I found out that we took it off in fiscal year 2020. And the reason we did is because of the fluctuation with what was going on with COVID at that point. We couldn't make heads or tails of how the money was going to come in. We didn't know what the economy was going to do at that point. We were still we were all navigating new water. And it's something that got taken off at that point and never got added back in. What I can tell you is year-to-date, we brought in $8,400 in interest, which will all come back to you all in excess fees. It always does. What I budgeted at this point is $7,500. And you say, well, if you've already brought in $8,400, why are you budgeting $75,000? Well, if we're making interest money, the economy is not doing as well as we're expecting. We don't want to make interest money. We don't want our sitting money to be making interest based because we want the interest rates to be down and we want our consumers to be able to buy. So we want the overall economy to grow. We don't want to make money off interest. We want to make money off actually transfers of deeds, transfers of property, transfers of cars, and that nature. So I'm hoping, and I hope you hope as well, that we will lower that number and we won't bring in a huge amount of money off interest. Does that explain how we got there and how I left it off the budget?
It explains how it was left off the budget, and I would appreciate you reacting and answering the questions, and I'm sure that you'll leave that in there from now on until we have another epidemic.
Absolutely. It just got overlooked because it was.
I mean, I understand your philosophy about lower interest means better, maybe better economy, but our economy is on fire right now in this state. So I'm not taking issue with that comment because I understand what you said. On the other side, while that opportunity is here, we need to capitalize on it the best we can, because that also helps the taxpayers of this county.
I 100% agree with you, but I will tell you by the looks of the transfers of property they're going through and the transfers of vehicles, if you think this economy's on fire right now, you might want to take a second look at it, because we are doing the slowest quarter I've ever seen in the clerk's office.
I'm sure it slowed car sales and property sales, I'm sure of that.
So we did adjust that. We put it back in the budget. And I do apologize for leaving it out. It was an absolute, it was not to put it anywhere else. It was not to show it as anything else. It was just, it is what it is. It got taken out in 2020 and then never reapplied. But it also, as always, has been turned over as excess fees.
That's good.
Yep. Any other questions?
Any questions for the clerk? So Jeff, you have 3 things on here,
I
right?
do. Are we going to do them all at one time,
Yes.
I hope?
Yep,
All right.
we
What's
are.
the next one we got?
Your audit.
With
Skip your audit.
Okay.
Audits.
This is the audit for the 2022 calendar year. We are just now receiving that. Matter of fact, we received it one day before your last meeting, or I would have gotten it on there. I want to brag a little bit on the clerk's office and give a little bit of a history lesson. This is the 9th straight clean audit that the clerk's office has received. I've been in office for 9 years. That's why I'm bragging on this. We absolutely 100% make sure that all the money that we can get back to you all, so you can spend it on the constituents of Franklin County, that's our job. Our job is to avoid you having to raise taxes, to get the money from the tax collection back in your hands. And that's what we do on an everyday basis. Since I've been here, Judge, we've been able to return over $5.7 million in excess fees. That's a fair amount of money that you all have had to spend. We've also gotten a $525,000 grant for election equipment, giving us a $6.25 million of excess fee base that we've been able to turn and give back to the citizens in Franklin County. I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we're able to offer in a 9-year period of time over $600,000 of money coming back to the citizens. So I'm proud of this audit, but I'm proud of the audit because of the hard work that the people in the clerk's office do. So I hope that you all will accept this audit as our token of appreciation back to you guys and what we do to make it worthwhile.
Any questions on the audit? Seeing none, you got one more, Jeff.
Annual order for maximum set. You know, this is the one that caused a little bit of question in the last meeting. I want to address this as well. We don't run on the same year you all do. We don't run on a fiscal year. We run on a calendar year. And quite frankly, to be honest with you, we have never had there's never been fair equality across all government employees. You want to know why? We don't do the same jobs. We weren't asked through COVID whether we would stay open. We chose to stay open to serve the taxpayers of this community. We don't do the same jobs that everybody else does. That is not our job. And we have also not gone traditionally, in 7 of the 9 years that I've been in office, there's been 2 sets of raises, one on the calendar year and one on the fiscal year. We don't do that. We're fee offices. I only get to pass a budget once. I've never amended a budget. I've lived within my means, and I've done it to get the money back in to the community to make sure that they get to use it. We have always been transparent on what we're doing. Always. There's never been anything we've hidden behind. We will give everything we can to you guys. I did a study because I want to make sure that we were on the right page with everybody. I did a study for the 8 counties that mimic what Franklin County has, from 45,000 to 55,000 people. The average number of employees, 19.5. We have and we've managed to keep under 14. That's part of how the excess fees stay where they're at. We expect a lot out of our employees, but we also expect to give them raises. So we are not equal. We don't stay equal throughout. I would love to tell you we could, but we don't do things the same way you do. We don't have that luxury. We have always done our best to make sure, number one, we get as much money back to the citizens of Franklin County for you all to spend on them.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions on Jeff on this item? Seeing none, Jeff, I want to say thank you. I know you've taken some time. We've talked with Amy also, and I think you've talked to a couple magistrates, so I appreciate you taking the time, and let's get on the same page.
Yep. Merry
Okay.
Christmas to everybody. Everybody have a good holiday season.
Thank you, too. Alrighty, next agenda item is we are receiving Elkhorn Water District's audit for 22 and 21. I believe it's clean. I don't believe anybody's here to talk about anything because I think it was just a clean audit and we just have to accept it by the end of the year. So we're good there. Next, we also have an audit for the Tourism and Convention Committee. Same thing. I don't believe anybody's here. It's a clean audit again. So we have to receive it by the end of the year per the rules. Go ahead, Squire Sebastian.
I have one question, Judge, and it may be an odd question, but under fixed assets on page 6, it lists land that the Tourism Commission has.
Yeah, somebody old.
And that's all I was going to ask. Where,
Beside Mr. The old sand lot, right up the road here.
that's theirs?
Yeah,
Okay.
not all of
I
it.
think part of it,
Just
like
part of
half
it
of it
is-
or something is there, yeah.
Okay, make note of that. Thank you.
It's a good question.
Judge, question, do we have to formally approve these or is just to receive acceptable?
Just receive them.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Robert, I'm going to ask you to come up on this next one. We're going to talk about, I believe Squire Sebastian's going to be happy about this one. The street light.
Good morning, Court.
Good morning.
This agenda item is to authorize the addition of one street light at the intersection of Richleaf Lane and Adderley Lane in the Bentwood subdivision. Contacted the Franklin Plant Board Engineering Division. They did an engineered analysis and provided a cost for the installation. For the materials and the install, their quote is $3,816. It would be added to our meter for LED streetlights, which I've noted the meter number on here, and recommend approval and happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Robert on this one? Squire or Wisman?
Robert, I'm wanting to ask, well, one, can you just verify that this would be estimated to be $1.45 a month and that would be your only additional after the $3,000 install,
Yes,
$3,800 install?
that is correct.
From experience in working with the plant board on some of these, I feel like we need to come up with a bit of a plan for the brightness of these lights, the lumens. Often they've been installed throughout the city and people then complain that they're just like daylight shining in their houses after the fact, after they requested one of them. And again, from experience, the plant board doesn't really seem to specify a brightness level, and they seem to often put in something that's too bright for an area. So I'm wondering if we maybe can come up, this just reminded me of it, it's not really directly related to this one, but if we can maybe come up with a definition of the, we have 129 watts, I think it is, on this one.
Correct.
But it doesn't say how many lumens that is. But for residential areas versus primary highways, and, there needs to be a difference in the brightness of some of these lights. It would be good to work with them to define a little better. I don't know if we have anything sort of developed like that.
We do not. However, in instances in which new street lights are installed and there are complaints about the brightness on residential properties, these can be fitted with shields. That occurred once in the Governor's Place subdivision, and that took care of that issue. So I think the spread of the light is more of a concern as opposed to the brightness of it. Of course, the intent is to provide safety at intersections for the most part. So if there is an issue, there is a cost for adding a shield, but that is the solution that's been provided by the plant board, and it seemed to work out quite well. We do that on commercial properties as well in private development. I actually asked for a voltaic plan to show the spread of the lights of their parking lot, just to make sure it doesn't bleed over. So if there is an issue, we can always just add shields to the fixture if you'd like, unless someone wants to form a committee and talk about any of that kind of stuff. But we don't have any meters on staff that would measure the brightness.
I suppose more of what I'm just thinking is if we could get some feedback from the plant board about recommendations for maybe like 3 types of lighting a rural subdivision, let's say, that's limited access versus a major highway versus a secondary road or something. Maybe there can be a little bit of a definition between those 3. And it's just making me think of this because it's been within the city, it's been an issue multiple times that's come up. And this is the first time since I've been on the court that we've had one coming in that I thought good to mention it.
When the plant board first went to LED lights, I think everyone recalls that there was an issue with them. They ended up glowing purple.
Yeah.
And so they totally switched the type of light. They went to a different brand, different company, so that's why you don't see that anymore, and they're in the process of replacing all of it that were faulty that way. But I'm happy to talk to the plant board and see what options they have available.
Any other question on this agenda item? Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. And I just wanted to make a comment. So this subdivision falls within the 1st District. It's a very high residential dense district with, very, very nice homes. This is toward the back of the subdivision where 3 roads come together. And it's very dark here because it butts up to a farm on the back side. So it was really important to the residents there, not only for visibility of automobiles, but also for walkers. This is a heavily walked neighborhood. There's one across Old Lawrenceburg Road, and people from Cedar Run come and walk through this neighborhood, and then people in this neighborhood walk the neighborhood and cross the street to walk over there in Cedar Run. So it was very important for safety to have this in this section of the subdivision that backs up to a farm. So thank you very much.
Squire Tanner.
I have a question for my own benefit, I guess. Is there a set of criteria that has to be met before a request to establish a street light is taken up?
No, sir.
So as somebody requested, then you look at it or just pass it on, or what? How does that work? Explain to me the process, please.
So if I receive a request for a street light, whether it be from an elected official, constitutional officer, or the general public, first thing I'll do is assess whether or not there are street lights in the area. I'll look at the electric network for that location, and then forward a request on to the appropriate electric provider, whether it be KU, Bluegrass Energy, Frankfurt Plant Board, and then ask them to do an analysis and a cost estimate, because each utility is slightly different in the requirements that they have. And so therefore, based on if any action has to be done by the Franklin County Road Department as a result of the request, or if it's all covered under one estimate, then that's when it's discussed with the local officials, judge's office, or whomever, if there's a concern that there might be, may not be feasible to do it, or it's not an appropriate location. But then if those that are deemed appropriate are brought to the court for consideration. So it's more of an administrative process up until the point where we're in a meeting.
But anybody, any person, any individual, or any court member, or basically anybody else can bring a request, and then you start a process of checking with the appropriate utility company, which there is at least two here. I know Bluegrass and Plant Board. I don't know, maybe more than that.
Kentucky Utilities.
Kentucky
Yes.
Utilities. So you go to one of those and find out an estimate. At that time, you get an estimate regardless.
Correct.
You don't see if it's feasible first?
Well, that is part of their estimate, their assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so that's why you have an engineer drawing in here that shows where they're going to pull power from. And so,
But there is no written policy on how we go forward with establishing where a street light might be located.
there are in new development regulations,
Well, okay,
yes.
okay.
And so the county has a standard that a street light must be located at every intersection. And then above that, the design of the street lights for say a residential subdivision is based on the design of the utility provider. So they have a set of criteria that they use.
Well, I know the subdivision I live has 0 streetlights, and they wouldn't want one, period. So I don't know how, when that subdivision was developed, there must not have been a regulation on how to put them in.
The county has had the requirement for a street light at every intersection for many, many years. It comes out of the 1978 subdivision regulation. So there is an opportunity for developers to request a waiver to any kind of standard of the subdivision regulations, and much like in Bent Woods, there was probably more than likely a request for a waiver to not only sidewalks but streetlights as well. So that's sort of how that happens.
And Squire, I will say, it's a process. I know Squire Sebastian's been working on this a while. Squire Tracy's working on one with Kentucky Utilities that's just moving very slow, so.
I will say,
Yeah,
I started this at the end of May,
yeah.
asking
It's
about
a
this.
slow process, so.
So-
That's about
Yeah.
normal.
I can't begin
Yep.
to explain
Yep.
how lengthy
So-
it takes.
Well, I just wanted to clear up, and so I would know, in case somebody requests, that we look at, see if we could put a street light in, what's the next step? And I do know, I'm not talking about Huntington Woods, because there's none there and they don't want any.
So just historically, it's,
But there have been some thoughts out of other places, around Farmdale, et cetera, there have been.
correct.
But
So-
that
so
would be
the-
Bluegrass, but he's still county.
Yeah, so all those requests have always funneled to my office.
Alrighty, these next 3 agenda items, Robert's here, we also have Wes here. Wes isn't necessarily here for this item, he has another item on here. But basically, we talked about this in the road crew. Most of our bills from this point will be from Codell Construction because they are our general contractor. But we did have some bills early on from the plant board. These are in the budget for the overall project, but this is to be done, taken care of by the owner. Burying utilities, the pole, the electric, and a water line, and moving a fire hydrant. So we thought, we being probably Jack and Max, it'd be cleanest just to do all these as individual items, and then Amy can keep these in the record with the overall project. So, I believe they all came in well under budget, right?
That is correct.
So we had how much budgeted?
115,000,
And all 3 of these combined are,
approximately 51,000.
okay, so that's great news there. So I'm going to just ask, I don't know if there's anything to present. They're really just 3 bills for work they're working on down there. So does anybody have any questions on these to Robert or Wes as part of the facility project?
Judge, would you mind if I just read them into the record?
Have at them.
Thank you. So the first item is from the Frankfurt Plant Board to relocate overhead telecommunication facilities to underground. They did a engineering analysis and cost estimate. The financial impact for materials and labor is $9,369. The next item from the Frankfurt Plant Board is for the relocation of overhead electric services. Once again, at the Franklin County Road Department, financial impact is $30,562. Would note that all these are coming out of the capital improvements projects line item from the budget. And the last item from the Frankfurt Plant Board for the Franklin County Road Department is the relocation of an existing fire hydrant, relocate and upgrade 2 domestic meters, and add approximately 200 linear feet of 1-inch water line servicing the property. The financial impact is $11,169. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Any questions?
Judge?
Go ahead, Squire Wisman.
Just wanted to verify, if you can, the financial impact on all three of those statements just says line item in the budget item, but for example, in the next bill, the Codell, it specifically says funds are available in this account line item for work detailed in the bid package. Just would you verify that is, these amounts are available as budgeted in that line item?
Yes, they are.
I would like to generally see that language every time, but it just was excluded from those three.
All right. So the design team prepared an original construction estimate with contingencies, and that was the basis for the amount that the court approved for the bond, the general obligation bond, and so therefore these were all covered within that original construction estimate.
There was $297,500 total for that, and the $115 that Robert was speaking of is for the plant board only. The remainder of that is within one of the bid packages for the electrician.
Thank you, Wes.
And I think they're 90% complete now, so there won't be much work to do.
Perfect. Thank you.
I got one question about the upgrade on these water lines. We have a 2-inch water line out there now, or are we going to upgrade to one?
We have a 2-inch and a 1-inch. Well, 2-inch meter and a 1-inch meter.
But we have a 2-inch line, we got a 2-inch meter, is that correct?
It depends. If you're servicing one building or two, it might branch off, so.
2-inch water line supplies a lot of water.
Yes, it does. There are 3 buildings on site that currently have water service, and then the other line is an agricultural meter. So 1 domestic meter, 1 agricultural meter.
Is that ag meter on the 2-inch line?
I am not sure. I would assume it's on the 1-inch.
What, the ag meter is on
Yes,
the
sir.
1-inch?
That's my assumption.
The 1-inch line puts out a lot of water, but a 2-inch line will supply a pretty good subdivision, I imagine.
2-inch would be small for a development, for a residential development. Of course, we are aware of that.
There's probably a few around.
Any other questions on these items? See none. Robert, thank you.
Just,
Yes,
Robert,
sir.
it says we're reconnecting an ag meter. It doesn't say an upgrade in this. It says the 1-inch for domestic meter and the 2-inch domestic meter are both upgrades, but not the ag meter.
They may have,
This square of this,
that could be a typo on their part. They're having to upgrade both meters because they're taking the opportunity to do so as they relocate the water line. They're drawing the water line back, the main, they're drawing the main back towards Lewis Ferry Road and then extending the domestic lines, the ag and the house line, if you will. So that's why they're upgrading the meters.
All righty. Robert, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Wes, I'm going to go ahead and have you come up now. I appreciate you being here this morning. If you want to go ahead and explain the special inspections and testing and how we got here.
So the special inspector for this project has to be a third-party firm. They come in and they kind of oversee all the rebar testing, the concrete, any soils that we compact and fill. So I sent that out to 4 different firms for pricing. I received 3 back, I think, Robert?
Yes, sir.
3 bids back. 2 of the bids were comparable to each other. The third bidder, they did not include some of the scope of work for the site. So we didn't have time to go back out and solicit again. We had 2 bids that were close. This line item was also like the utilities we just talked about. It was a line item on the budget, and I think we had $23,000 in there for it. So this amount is a little more than what was originally discussed, but the parking lot grew, there was more asphalt work, there was some more civil work that was involved, so it was within the range. And once we reviewed it, Bob Pelosi and I went through it all and felt comfortable with it. And they've actually agreed we needed them before we could get them on this agenda. So we've had them on site doing some testing for us already. That amount, I don't think it listed the amount on the
Yes.
agenda, did it?
Yeah, so this is a time and materials contract for $32,875. And as indicated in the agenda abstract, special inspections for a project such as this is required by the Kentucky Building Code in the 2018 edition.
So Wes, if I could ask, so obviously you all were just a little bit low on this guesstimation. Is there the duration of this project, will there be any more that comes to us, or is this all in?
This is it. You know, with the PR that's out there for the soil remediation work, you know, they could come back and say, yes, we need some more money for that, but they're not going to, because we up front gave them the geotechnical report. They knew what the site was. So this is an all-in number, and at the end of the day, like Robert said, they'll provide a letter to the state saying that they've inspected everything on this job, from concrete to rebar to soils, and they approve of it.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you.
yes.
Any questions for Wes on this? Squire Wisman.
Yeah, more so, we had 2 bids, Wes, that you said came in, but we only have 1 that's presented to us. I'm wondering, do we have the second bid in-house that could be referenced here? I'm always asking to see all bids that are presented to us so we can review those. If there was an action we wanted to take differently, we always can, but this one's a little bit different.
Yeah, if they're not, I can send them. It was Terracon, CSI, and Ellie Gray bid this job.
Robert, go ahead.
So Judge, if I may, since this is a construction management project, the construction manager reviews all the bids and then makes a recommendation to the owner. And then, so that's why only 1 bid was submitted to the court.
Squire Blackburn.
You did reference, I saw in the pictures from the road department, the director was up here, we've already got some footings poured and a lot of site work done. So I know on the schedule of visits that they've got, it looks like 30, 40, 54, 56 visits probably. And so they've probably already been out there testing and verifying what soil compaction, things like that. Has there been any welding in the rebar or anything like that?
No structural work is.
So I know on there is some special inspection required for several things, but I also have done deep dives in this before. Is there any alternative or unusual materials that they've been using that require it?
No, the only caveat may be once we get into the epoxy coated rebar for the salt barn.
Right.
That's a little different than usual. The structural, this is a bolted connection with some moment welds, so the structural part shouldn't be too much more. They list that breakdown just in case there is a major change on the job.
Like I was seeing, there's a lot of exceptions in the 1705 citation, the citation of that. And I feel like is this building got seismic resistance stuff involved with it? Is it labeled a B, C, D, or E type building? Do you know?
I have to get the drawings to answer that specifically, but it is, I believe it's a B.
It's a B?
Yeah.
Well, if it's a B, testing qualification for seismic resistance not required for a B and C type building.
Seismic is required on the plan review from Kentucky Department of Housing, Building, and Construction.
On the plan review.
Correct.
So they're just looking at the plan to verify it.
That it meets the seismic requirements.
Right.
Established based on what zone we're in.
Right. Okay. And they go off the geotechnical report, which we've already got. What's our biggest span on our large building?
It's 180 feet long. I think they're 20 feet, 24 feet maybe.
Okay. All right, that's all I've got right now.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Davis, thank you so much for being here. On page 13 of this, it talks about the venue for any court hearings, and it lists them in Fayette County. Is there any opportunity for this to be negotiated to Franklin County where the project is?
Sure. We can,
So
if you just make that recommendation and send it back to me.
do we need to make that recommendation as part of the motion? Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure I understand.
I would if I were you. Yes,
think
please,
that's
just
the
get it on the record, but it does need to be in Franklin Circuit.
Yeah. I'm asking.
I'm fine.
for
Does
everybody.
anybody else want input on that? Is everybody agreeing with Squire Sebastian on that? Yes, I see yeses. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Squire.
Judge, can I reiterate that question? My question was, do we have those other bids in-house to retain for our records? Was more of the, I know the process, more of the question.
We do
can
not
get
have it
them.
in-house.
We
It's
don't
in-
have it, I mean, I'm sure they'll send it to
Yeah,
us.
I can-
Yeah,
sure.
that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to see them, that's fine. If you don't mind, Wes.
So if you wouldn't mind, ask them to make that change, ask the company to sign it, and then bring it to our office so the judge can sign it if approved by the court.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wes, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here today.
What time are you all visiting the site today?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, and I would wear, you saw the photos, I'd wear
Yeah.
good shoes for it.
All righty, thank you.
Thanks, Wes.
All righty. This next one, Robert, go ahead. You can go ahead and get it going, and then I'm going to turn it to Max before we go any farther.
All righty.
Please.
So this is a resolution to deny the zone map amendment request of 25.5 acres of property located at 827 Cardwell Lane from rural residential B district to rural high-density multifamily district. The property is identified in deed book 611, page 261 in the office of the Franklin County Clerk.
All righty. Now, before we go to any questions or anything, Max, can you go ahead and talk on this matter for a minute?
As the court is aware, I guess it was 2 meetings ago, the court voted in order to have an evidentiary hearing on this matter. After that evidentiary hearing was scheduled, we received a letter from Cardwell 827 LLC through their attorney, McNamara and Jones, and that correspondence was dated November 17th, 2023, indicating that they were withdrawing their amended application for that zoning change. So I think probably the cleanest way to do it, we probably need a motion to reconsider the previous action of the court to schedule that evidentiary hearing on that zone map amendment. And then after that motion is made, then a motion to we need some findings of fact in order to support this resolution to deny that zoning change. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Where would we draw the findings of fact from?
The findings of fact would be drawn from the planning and zoning record,
The original,
the original P&Z
Recommendation
record, because there
sent to
will
us
be
by-
no evidentiary hearing taking place from which the court to draw that, draw those findings of fact from.
and the original record that was sent to us from the planning commission, it being outside of the quote-unquote 90-day window, it would still be,
We are outside of the 90 days.
correct, that's what I'm saying, with us being outside of that window,
Inside
We're inside that window, it's
Yes.
still,
Yes.
okay, just want to make sure.
And that's, we are currently still inside of that window, and I think the court will remember KRS 100-211. After that recommendation is made from the Planning and Zoning Commission, if the court takes no action, then by operation of law, it is approved. So with the I guess, the withdrawing of that application in order to make that clean, so there's no confusion, and this does not occur by operation of law, I think we need to have this type of resolution on the record in order to prevent that from occurring.
Any other questions on Squire Blackburn?
So withdrawing an application doesn't affect anything, right?
Well, the statute says once it comes from the Planning and Zoning Commission, if this court takes no action, then by operation of law, it is approved.
Right.
So I don't want to have any type of legal question out there, even after they have withdrawn that amended application, on whether or not by operation of law this occurs. So I think the cleanest thing to do would be to have this resolution, as we don't want someone coming in after the fact saying, oh, we withdrew it, but pursuant to this statute, it's still there.
Squire Tracy?
If that is the court's
Yeah.
preference on how
Squire Tracy?
to do that.
Will the letter that the court received on Friday, November the 17th be a part, or should be a part of the minutes on this item?
I think it should be a part of the minutes, absolutely.
Thank you.
That'd be a fine.
Squire Wisman?
Robert, maybe you can tell us, the resolution we have here today just mentions that the Planning and Zoning Commission had findings of fact on September 14th. What was the final action, the date of the final action of the Planning Commission to recommend to us? Do you have that date?
Oh,
We don't have all of
not
that
with me. It was on the
with us.
ordinance. It was on the original ordinance that was presented to the court at the time, the court.
I don't have that full packet with us today, and it wasn't printed as part of our
Got it, I think.
information unless it's on.
But, so they made their recommendation on September the 14th of 2023.
Yes, they did.
It's in the third whereas.
So that was the final action.
By the planning commission, yes, that is
So we have
correct.
90 days from that date.
That is correct.
Got to the 14th of December.
Squire Blackburn?
So are we in a position now to establish our own findings of fact based on,
I believe we do, not our own, it has to be.
no,
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
the record that was given to us in the,
I believe in the
Fair enough,
voting,
sir.
I think that'd be in the voting session, correct? Yeah,
okay.
so I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands what.
Question regarding that, though, we did not hold our own hearing, so how can we make findings of fact in addition to the record by the planning commission? We can only vote yes or no based on, at this point, my understanding.
It would be findings of fact based upon the record that was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
That seems converse to me. Just help me walk through this. Typically, we have another one coming before us. We've already had a first reading to approve. I don't remember making findings of fact unless we held our own evidentiary hearing in addition to the findings that the Planning and Zoning Commission sent to us.
I think,
I think if you will recall, when the property on, 421, the court made findings of fact based upon the Planning and Zoning Commission record for the resolution that was presented that did not receive a majority vote. So
Right.
that has been done by this court probably within the last
that's what we, yeah,
2
that's what
months.
we did. We just used what was already there.
And it would also seem, use your word, converse to me, if we can't read into the record the letter that we received which drives the entire action that we're doing. So there has to be some way to bring that in.
I think we can read it into the minutes, but I do not
Okay.
believe that we can use that letter as a basis for the resolution, considering it was not part of the planning and zoning record.
But we
But I
have to
think-
read it in, I'm
I
trying
think-
to figure out the way.
I think we can read it, and it can be
Into the-
part of the
okay.
minutes for this,
But it has
and
to-
a basis for the motion to reconsider is
Okay.
what I would recommend. And then, but it cannot be a part of the findings of fact.
Understood.
For the resolution saying, due to this letter, we are denying this, because it wasn't part of that original record.
So, just so I understand, that will be done during the voting session?
A motion, I would recommend a motion to reconsider the previous action to the court to schedule for an evidentiary hearing, and then move on to the resolution. If, should the court choose to do that, the resolution denying based upon certain findings of fact gleaned from the record from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Can you have that letter with you or not?
I can go get it.
We'll just take a couple minute recess after we get through all this, before we go into voting session, if that's okay. Okay. Any other questions for Robert or Max, and not me, on this item?
Just one other then, anything that was presented to us, for instance, let's just use an example, the updated traffic study that was submitted on for the November 14th, we should not, we're not referencing anything. I'm just asking this generally for the
It's only the
for the
things
record,
that were
right?
presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yeah, only the items that were previously presented.
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna move on to this next one. Robert, I believe you have one more.
Yes, sir. Agenda item number 15 is an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances relating to the zone map amendment request for a 3.13 acre tract of property located at 1003 and 1005 Twilight Trail. The request is to amend the zoning from Industrial Commercial District IC to Highway Commercial District CH. The Planning Commission held a evidentiary hearing on October the 12th, 2023, and on that same date, October 12th, adopted a summary of the evidence and findings of fact. The Planning Commission did recommend approval to the Franklin County Fiscal Court with 3 findings that are listed on the ordinance.
Okay, before I open this up, I'm gonna ask, whose district is this in, Squire? Okay.
One always on top.
So, any people reach out to you, or do you have anything
No,
on
sir.
this you want to share with the
No.
court?
This matter of zoning, originally the property was zoned, what the goal is to bring it back to. This was professional office space
Yeah.
primarily. Other uses have been in there. There's a church in there now. There are a number of things there. The owners who purchased it, one owner removed. They were going to do something different with the property. That can come to fruition. Current owners want to be able to use the property in the same way that it was constructed for professional offices.
Perfect. Any questions, or anybody in court? Squire?
Judge, I'll just state, I was making a habit of making sure to read these, and we did the last meeting for the first review of this. But the current zoning is IC, Industrial Commercial District. It was previously CH, Highway Commercial District, and the request is to go back to CH, right?
Yes.
That's all.
All righty, Robert, thank you.
Thank you.
This next one is Extension Office. It's 2 individuals. One, Philip's on there now, he's finishing someone else's term out. And then I believe Kate is going to be a new member. They brought 4 names to us. I talked to Keenan Bishop, who's kind of runs it, and we talked through it. There is one person being replaced, but he has been on there for 11 or 15 years. And, I talked to Keenan, about, I think it's time for somebody else to serve. So we appreciate everybody that has served on that board, but these are the 2 names that they would like to put forward. Any questions or comments on these for the extension?
I just wanted to note that the county extension council made a recommendation, right?
Correct.
They didn't make 2 recommendations, they just made 1.
No, they made 2. There's two people here we're voting on.
I know, but when you see the recommendation, is it the check mark? Or did they recommend all four?
They provided all four, and it was up to,
Us?
yes, to pick
Okay.
the two. One of the, so the one person, I'm just going to tell you kind of where I came from. Rodney had served on it for many years, so I just think we need to give other people a chance. Philip was just finishing somebody's first term out, and then the other two ladies who were both qualified, one of them did not turn the application in
Okay.
after it was requested, so it was kind of, that's kind of how we ended up there. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I just have a question. When these applications come in, and there are something like 8 words on them as to why individuals would like to serve, or 10 words, or 25 words, or pick any number of words, if there is maybe a smaller amount of what the experience is, does someone reach back out to them and encourage a more complete description of their desire to serve and/or their information that would be helpful to this body to determine if they are the best potential candidate to come forward? Under the last court, if you recall, I think I even brought that up.
Yeah.
That we got an application that literally had 8 words on it. And I have great concern about that. If somebody truly wants to serve, they're
Yeah.
going to talk about that. So it's just a process question.
Yeah.
It was a process question asked before, I'm just asking.
I don't know if we
some process
necessarily, like this first gentleman, he didn't put a whole lot, but I know he's serving now, and I know I've been in meetings, he does a great job, so, could his application been a lot deeper? Yes.
And I'm not trying
Yeah.
to focus that on
No,
anyone,
yeah.
I'm just trying to ask the question for maybe people that are considering
Yeah.
coming and submitting something, and
Right.
then for them to understand what the process is internally.
Yeah.
If there is a limited amount of information that was provided, does someone reach back to them and say, oh, we've reviewed the application for it to be considered internally and held for whatever period?
Right.
If that is the process, does someone reach back and say,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I know we reached back out to
I don't know what
them,
to-
to all of them,
how
to
to
make
ask
sure
it.
applications were filled out, and only 3 out of the 4, did it. And so that's when, I contacted Keenan, I said, let's talk through this together, because ultimately, we want to do what their will is too. So, in this case, it was pretty, cut and dry, I guess you could say. So, but yeah. Squire Westman.
Squire Sebastian, you kind of beat me to the punch on that one, these and some others in the past and the one next. I'm wondering how we can amend this application. I really think we need a resume from every single applicant every time to show us what their background is, their skill set, their area of focus. We need more information from these folks, and I understand often there's existing relationships and it is a small community. But we have to base our decision on something, and often I feel like we're being asked to approve things after the fact that there is no basis for us to make a decision, as you alluded to. So perhaps at a minimum, can we amend the application to require a resume to be submitted with those each time, or that's just
So what
for
happens if it's
discussion
a
purpose?
farmer his whole life and he's never done a resume in his life, but he is the best person qualified to serve on the 4-H council?
I mean, there's assistance for folks if they need it. I mean, we can take it case by case individually, but
I would have a hard time
think
going to
there's-
an elder in the community and say, let's sit down and do a resume. I mean, I just,
I'm asking generally for something
Yep.
additional, and I don't think if it's too far of a hurdle this day and age to ask for everyone to have a bit of their professional expertise put on a sheet of paper to submit when they're going to be managing funds, meeting procedures, open policy procedures, et cetera. We need to have some expectation that they can handle those things and have some experience, right?
and again, these names were presented to us from the organization, so. Squire Tanner.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but most of these appointments, practically all of them, are those of the county judge executive with the fiscal court voting up or down.
Correct.
So it would be my assumption that the county judge's responsibility would be to vet those people. And if we have questions concerning that, then we should ask that question. And I don't think a resume, I disagree a little bit with my colleague here on how extensive a resume could be. And a resume is a general word, and we all see it, how probably everybody in here has done one once or twice. But that's asking a lot of some people who might not be familiar as what's expected on a resume. And you could just say, okay, my name is Richard Tanner, and I've lived for 77 years. I mean, that could be it. But I think that we need to follow the statute and to vote up or down on everything except the county treasurer probably. And I think that's where we are. But I do think we should have response from the county judge on this person's been vetted, and if you need to check his historical background, you could. But
Which was the reason I asked, what is the internal process here for reviewing these? And if they don't provide a lot of information, does someone reach back out to them to get that? I'm not asking for a resume, I'm just trying to figure out what gets presented to us so that we understand that.
You could
In
ask
general,
them, we might could
not
ask
just
them to come
these,
to
in
court
general.
and just ask questions of them here if you wanted to do that. But
I think an important point is that Keenan knows these people, and this is who he wants, correct? This is who he's going to have to deal with. I think that's important. I do think that if there were more people on here, I would have no idea who to vote on, because I wouldn't know enough about them. But so possibly we could get just a synopsis from Keenan on why this, these people are the ones that he would trust, or what you know about them.
Yeah.
We just don't, I don't know any of these people, and I don't know anything about them, so if there were more of them, I would have
I mean, we can go down
trouble
to it
making a
again. So I mean, the
decision.
4 applicants that were presented to us, the first one has served for, it was either 11 or 15 years. And my thought on is, there's other people that want to serve.
Sure.
Very much a term limit, kind of 2 times, and it's time for somebody else. I've served with Philip on this board because I'm on this board. He was just filling someone's first term out. And the other 2 ladies who were both equally qualified, one didn't turn an application in.
Right, which
So,
makes
I mean,
this easy,
in this
but
process,
it might
yeah.
not be this easy the
Correct.
next time,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
is my
Yeah.
point.
And let me clarify all this. The only reason I asked this question is we haven't had a board appointment in a while.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do
Yeah.
with the names before us. It has to do,
Right. The process.
everything I've
Yeah.
asked is process
Yeah.
related,
Yeah.
not personal. So I'm still trying to understand
Yeah.
what that process is. If something comes in and it has, again, as I said, 8 words, 10 words, 12
Yeah.
words, what
And
is it
typically,
that helps
what I
us?
have done, not in
What-
this case, is I've picked up the phone and I've called the applicants and talked to them and asked them questions, why they want to serve, background, things like that. I mean, that's
I think that's
typically what
perfect,
I
and if
do.
you can answer those questions
Yeah.
for us, that will be helpful
Yeah.
for us. So they don't, I don't know that they need to fill something out, as long as you know those answers.
Squire Tracy.
I think it's important to remember it's hard enough to get people to serve on these boards anyway.
Absolutely.
So, not that I disagree with any of you, but and I think you've always been open to recommendations from the court as well to serve on boards.
Absolutely. We need more people to put their names up. We do have some boards that have some vacancies that I need to send out to you all to see if we can together find some good people that want to serve, because ultimately, I mean, it's an arm of us, when we recommend people on these boards. So, I encourage more people in the community to get active.
Judge,
Okay.
can I clarify? I'm not asking for a curriculum vitae of every person that wants to apply. And we have 2 pages, and every appointment that I've seen so far has had less than 3 sentences about their background. I'm just asking for a little bit more information for me to, as an elected official, to be able to say, I fully trust this
Yeah.
nomination of yours, and I don't think that's going to put out anyone. It doesn't mean that they have to have a printed resume, that they can't have an additional page of handwriting information about their experience and why they're best picked for this position. So I'm asking just for a little bit more to revise the applications to include some of that more before it's brought to us, so we don't have to do this questioning period. We have more of a full vision of who these people are and what their qualifications are. We have one more coming up that I'm sort of concerned sort of similarly, because I want to make sure we have the absolute best people that can manage the role that they have to fulfill in these.
At the end of the
board
day, I
appointments.
hope you trust me enough that I'm doing my job the best that I can.
I trust you, Judge, but
And
again,
I research these people.
I have
and I
this
talk
much
the
to make
people.
my basis off to argue my decision as well, so, you know.
You don't agree, then you can vote that way. But yeah, we'll try to get more information. All right, this next one, this is a typo. It's actually not an authorization, it's just a receive because this is an appointment from the county judge. It's a seat, so typically it's put in the information. I know this gentleman, he came forward with some other people, put applications out, small business owner, and I think that's what this board is missing. There is not a small business owner on the board right now. And the other two members that are serving for us are doing a fabulous job. It's a tough board to serve on, but I do think they're heading in the right direction, so.
Judge.
Go ahead, Squire.
So that's 17? So instead of maybe authorization to approve?
Receive.
It's authorization to receive. Okay, thank you.
And so will it be read, someone will read it that way, right?
Yeah, I'll read
And
it,
this will be
receive,
corrected
just to
on the-
receive it, so it's in
Thank you.
the minutes, thank you. Squire.
Thank you for sharing that information and of your pick and appointment. So I know in the past, we haven't been as fortunate enough
Yeah,
to
well,
receive it.
we're trying to do things better here and be more transparent, and like I said,
Thank you.
we're a team here, and I think we're all trying to get to the same place, and I appreciate you all. Alrighty, next, I believe, our treasurer. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. So you have the revenue and expenses as of December 1, so just keep in mind, that is through November. I expect in December to have our first payment from the sheriff for the property taxes, as well as the sheriff's payroll reimbursement, which should probably total around $6 million in revenues for December. So hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have a better update. Also wanted to point out on page 1, I've highlighted 2 new accounts that you'll want to pay attention to, hopefully.
I want to thank you for adding lines to our revenue and not to our expenses. Thank you.
That wasn't me.
You put them in the system,
I
didn't you?
put them in the system.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did talk, just to let the court know, I did talk to Amy, and I had a conversation a day or two ago, and she's gonna, once we get to the last meeting of the year, she's gonna kind of give some summaries of where we are to this point, halfway through and things like that, so just so everybody can be aware of how spending's been, how revenue's been, things like that, so that will be on the 21st agenda.
Yes.
Or in her report, just want to let everybody know that. Any questions for Amy on this? Amy, thank you. You do a great job, and we appreciate you. Alrighty, payment of claims. Kim's up now. Anybody have any payment of claims? I do want to point out, I believe, Jack, that one's on there, right? The big one? Okay, so, yeah, it's one of the supplemental bills is the balance of the metal steel building for the road department. It's all been received. It's on our property. It's down there on Lewis Ferry. They have requested the balance to be paid, which I agree with. It's the steel building.
So that's the SLA Enterprises for $237,555?
That is correct. That is correct.
And that's through 10/31?
Yeah.
That is the, can you verify, that's the balance
Yeah, I believe that's
for
it.
that, so.
Amy, correct? Or Kim?
No, SLA will still have, there's still a balance to SLA for that total bid, but that's the balance of the building.
Oh, so it's the same company that's going to erect it, I think. So this is for the rest of the material part of it. Sorry, I misstated that, yes.
55%.
Yeah. Yeah, they fronted it. They went ahead and did it just for us. You know, we didn't really, we put a little bit of deposit down, but they've paid for it to this point. So this is basically just paying for the steel And then the balance of that line item will be them erecting it. So thank you, yeah. All right, what are other bills for Kim? Any questions? Squire Blackburn.
The
Microphone, please. Thank you.
the vehicle repair and maintenance, I saw that was under general court bills. The vehicle decals, what vehicles were those for?
We're redoing them all.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, road
Gotcha.
department's doing them, planning and zoning, maintenance. We're trying to update everything.
Gotcha, thank you.
Squire Wisman.
Could someone explain page 1, the Lions Way improvements, H&B engineers, more and what the scope of that was, $3,000?
I'm sorry, which one were you at?
H&B engineers, account 1, 5070 323, engineering services for Lions Way improvements.
Robert. Yeah, that's for proposed school. Go ahead, you.
Yes, so whenever a school district is proposing a new facility, local government has to provide a road adequacy letter. So I provided that to the district, and then H&B was retained to do further investigations into how the road could be improved to accommodate the bus and vehicular traffic, because according to Kentucky administrative regulations, any local road has to be improved to the adequacy standards of a school district. A letter stating that they will do that, and so this was for the design of an improvement to Lions Way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Squire Blackburn. Squire Tracy, who?
Thank you. And this may come to you, or it may come to you. I know there's a lot of rhetoric being spread throughout the community in regards to this road or this property being purchased or not being able to be purchased, depending upon a letter that they haven't received from us. Ultimately, we can't move forward with a letter until we get clarification or approval from the state in regards to all the HMB services and so forth.
Well, actually, the county did submit a letter as requested by the school board. I wrote it, in essence stating that the road's not adequate. That was forwarded on to the Kentucky Department of Education, and they said, well, we can't approve the closing of the property until the local government, the Fiscal Court, issues a letter saying we will make it adequate for your needs. And so that's the delay on the closing of the property.
But the county, is waiting on a letter back from the state, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, all right. So nothing on our end. We're kind of in a holding pattern, just waiting. We've done our part, our due diligence.
That is correct, and I am prepared to submit a revised letter to the school board based on receipt of that letter.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I talked to the state again yesterday. They've had a meeting. Funds are there. We're just, I mean, they verbally texted and everything. We're okay. And the school's not going to be built for another 2 to 3 years anyway. So, but yeah, to your point, there has been people in the community saying, you know, the county's slow stepping this, that, and the other. That's not the case. We're waiting on the state. I've talked to them about every 2 days. So we're just literally, they verbally said, yes, we'll take care of it, not a big deal. So, I mean,
And to further that, the improvements to Lions Way are an unbudgeted project. Correct. It was unforeseen when the budget was prepared.
Any other questions on the bills?
Nice to have more communication. That's the first I've seen of anything related to that project at all yet. So,
Well,
but I understand.
property transactions, of course, through the school board or local government are all eligible for closed discussion, and so that it's been kept quiet until it was released in the newspaper.
But it's not our project, right? I mean, that's
Yeah, it's not ours.
Just the improvements to
just the
our road.
improved, right?
We're expending
Because I'm
funds.
sure we've all gotten phone
Yeah.
calls. I know I'm getting it about it.
Squire Blackburn, did you have your hand up?
I did, on the jail fund court bills, HVAC units.
That's the ones, if you remember, for the maintenance shop, I believe.
Okay.
And it was, they had received quotes of about $14,000, and our maintenance guys went up there with them and
So on the energy project, that was something that we had foreseen that we could do in-house.
we did,
And we actually saved $10,000,
basically, yes. I think it took them about 2 days, Greg and one other, and then with Matt at the jail, they kind of worked on it together, put the new units up, put some new ductwork in, so they worked
I know there's
together.
been some questions with the energy project, why are we still seeing these big sums in the jail fund for things like HVAC? And I just wanted to point out, I knew the answer to the question before I asked it. I wanted to point out that was an in-house thing that we saved a lot of money doing.
Yep. Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I'm just going to tag team off of my colleague's question here because I think maybe a couple of courts ago, we asked for a representative maybe from the company to come and address the court, or at least,
On the energy,
so I'm not sure where that's at.
so he's met with the committee, what committee was that? You remember,
Energy. But we haven't had any meetings since.
We have not.
okay, okay. Okay, we'll bring that back around.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other? Anything else? Nope, seeing nothing else, we'll go other business before we take a recess. Other business, anybody have any other business? Squire Tracy.
Earlier this morning, I sent out an email to the body along with the county attorney in regards to what would be a draft of proposed legislation by Senator Jay Williams. I wanted to make everyone aware of a meeting that is scheduled to take place on Monday, December the 11th at 3 p.m. at the Frankfurt Plant Board Admin Building located off of Sauer Boulevard. It's my understanding Senator Williams will be in attendance to go over and try to explain his proposed plant board legislation. Legislation that would require the sale of the cable and telecom and to be sold by December of 2024. The electric and water departments in this bill would become a department under the supervision and control of the city of Frankfurt. I would encourage everyone who can attend to attend and support the Frankfurt Plant Board, its employees, who are our friends, our family, and our neighbors. So it's important. They've got a lot going on. And
Can you repeat the date and time, please?
Monday, December the 11th at 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Squire. Any other business?
Can I just tag team on to something with my colleague? Thank you, Judge. You know, it is vital that everyone understands the long shadow that this would cast in our community. The plant board comes to basketball games, to all sporting events. They have a community cable access television that broadcasts these meetings and makes them available. So you need to understand what a community would look like without that personal touch here, touching your homes every day with important community news that features yourself, your family, your friends, and makes that available in your home every day. So it is vital that this community step up and show out and demonstrate their support, I think, for this publicly owned utility that's in our community that we're fortunate to have. So.
Thank you, Squire. Squire Westman.
Judge, I'm not as reserved as sometimes, but I'll say this is, I read the proposed language this morning of this bill, and it's an outright attempt to force a sale of our locally owned, locally managed plant board operations to private industry. Our senator has drafted language that is an outright attack on what exists and has existed since 1945 as locally controlled, locally managed by the people in our community, our own local operation. It's an all-out attack, and we knew this was coming for some time now, so I really hope that everyone will make calls and drastically attack this attempt. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Squire Tanner. Sorry. Squire Tanner, and then Blackburn.
I agree with what everybody said. I'm just tag teaming to it a little bit here. This is a draft. Whenever the final bill is filed, if it's appropriate, I think that maybe we could pass a resolution in opposition of said. Right now, it's not anything except the draft, so.
It just has a BR number.
It might change 3 or 4 times before it actually gets filed. So, and we'd probably be opposed to it then too, but anyway, it's hard to say right now, a resolution, you're getting something you don't know what is. So, I do support the plant board. I mean, we all have ups and downs and things are charging too much or whatever, but Squire Sebastian says they are a benefit to all of us here. And, I don't want to see it sold just like anybody else. And, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Squire. Squire Blackburn.
Yeah, I just want to add on to everyone that's spoken. After reading it, I read it last night, and I've got some friends at the plant board, and it would not only try to force the sale, but it would give the decision to sell out of the hands of the plant board and place it into the city commissioner's hands. So I think it's something that everybody needs to show up to that meeting and get some clear answers from Senator Williams and just get it all out in the public and open, because I think it's a great asset to be handled by a local board of local folks. There's so many people. There's over 200 employees there that live and work and pay taxes here. And I don't like the idea of relinquishing control and putting that asset up for sale to an outside entity. So I think everybody needs to show up.
Thanks, Squire.
I think we need to make sure that we get this information out there in every possible way we can get it out there immediately.
Yeah, Andrew, I know you're listening. We'll come up with something to put out on social media.
Yes, sir.
One more comment. Have we gone forward with their hiring of a lobbyist to represent Franklin County?
Just waiting on the paperwork.
Waiting on
I've
the
requested
paperwork.
the paperwork, so yes.
I understand that the plant board has already hired a firm to work with them to defeat this bill. And we might ask our lobbyist when he gets on board.
Yep.
To assist them in
Okay.
that, be one of the things that we had asked him to do. And this is a different subject, and maybe I'll ask it later.
Okay.
Judge, since that came up, can I request, I would like to have paperwork for the approval of a contract and whatever amount it's going to be for a lobbyist on our December 21st agenda. I think it's critical, given this development, but even beyond that we have that in motion immediately.
Yeah, like I said, I'm waiting on the paperwork. He's supposed to get it to me yesterday, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's professional service. I was gonna sign it, let's go. You know, I mean, I'd rather not wait 2 more weeks, because.
Whatever needs to be, but if we need to
Yeah, no,
approve it.
Do we need to authorize an amount of money now? Can we do that in advance? So that you
It's
can-
basically what I've talked
Pick who you
about.
want, I think.
We have to approve the money. It's a budget.
I think
It's basically $30,000 for 6 months.
30. Then should that be on a other document here that we authorize the payment
Amy's saying
of
yes.
a lobbyist up to $30,000?
It's fine if you want to do it. I mean, it's professional service, so, I mean, how do you want to handle it, Amy?
I think it would, Kim, back me up, but I think it does need to be an agenda item to
Yes.
approve that. Professional services, you just don't have to do the bid.
That's correct. It
That
can be
is correct.
negotiated, but we need to set a number.
And the contract would start to come through.
Well, can we do that in today's, because we'd rather not wait. Huh? But if they're just setting the amount, I can
We're
sign the
just- we're
contract.
setting
We're just
the
setting the
amount.
amount.
Yeah, he just signed a
contract. That's what I'm saying. I can sign the contract
Yes.
tomorrow or today, but
So it's professional
I don't want to sign it if you all haven't approved it, because that doesn't look
Right.
good. So
Right.
can
I'd like to
we
know
can we
who it
amend the
is.
agenda
We
to
can
put it on there to, are y'all good with that?
Today?
Today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, let's take a 5-minute recess. Kim's going to get that letter that we can read, and we'll get that. Huh? Yes, 30,000. All righty, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. Alrighty, we are back. Appreciate everybody. This is December 6, 2023. This is our voting session. Clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian.
Here.
Squire Blackburn.
Present.
Squire Dykus.
Here.
Squire Tracy.
Here.
Squire Tanner.
Here.
Squire Wisman.
Present.
Judge Moore.
Present. Authorization for approval of minutes from special meeting of November 20th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of November 21, 2023.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't here.
Okay. Clerk, did you get that?
Yes.
Thank you, Squire. Authorization to receive the report of the audit of the Franklin County Clerk for the end of the year, December 31, 2022.
So moved. Second. Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve county clerk's lump sum fee officials budget for calendar year 2024.
So moved.
Kenny, let me ask a question here. Since those numbers have changed, should we include them in this motion? Because what we're looking at does not include the $7,500 for the interest, or it doesn't reflect that to balance it in the excess fees on the other end. Should we add those numbers in?
He did on the revised.
I don't have a revised copy.
He sent a revised budget about 4 minutes before the meeting. Clerk, did you get that out to everybody?
I did not get a chance to print it out.
So we do have it, and the numbers are in there.
The numbers on the revised include the $7,500, and it would increase the excess fees by $7,500.
Yes.
Can we vote that, Mr. County Attorney, without, or we can add the numbers to this one, or whatever?
We can accept the amended.
We can accept the amended?
Yes.
So we're gonna vote on the amended version.
I'll read it again. How's that? All right. Authorization to approve the amended county clerk's lump sum fee officials budget for calendar year 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve county clerk's annual order setting maximum amounts for deputies and assistants for calendar year 2024.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive Elkhorn Water District's independent auditor's report for years ended December 31, 2022 and 2021.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive the audit fiscal statements for the year ended June 30th, 2023 and 2022 for Franklin County Tourist and Convention Commission.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to add one street light to the county multimeter Frankfurt Plant Board and new utility pole at the intersection of Rich Live Lane and Adderley Lane.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to have Frankfurt Plant Board relocate telecommunication facilities from overhead to underground for the new Franklin County Road Department maintenance facility.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to have Frankfurt Plant Board relocate electric facilities from overhead to underground for the new Franklin County Road Department maintenance facility.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to have Frankfurt Plant Board relocate an existing fire hydrant, relocate and upgrade both 1-inch and 2-inch domestic water meters, and add approximately 200 linear feet of 2-inch water line to serve the new Franklin County road property at 100 Lewis Ferry Road.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to accept a bid to CSL, the best bidder, for special inspections and testing relating to redevelopment construction of the Franklin County Road Department, 100 Lewis Ferry Road.
So moved.
Question, Squire.
Yes. Do we need to amend this in any way to capture the discussion here in regard to changing the venue of law?
From Fayette County to Franklin County?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could be the authorization to accept with the contractual revision regarding the venue, regarding
With the revision?
regarding the venue
All right.
provision of the contract from that entity.
Okay. Authorization to accept the revised bid to CSL, the best bidder for special inspections and testing related to the redevelopment construction of Franklin County Road Department, 100 Lewis Ferry Road.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Alrighty. Authorization to approve a resolution denying the rezoning of a 25.45 acre property located at 827 Cardwell Lane in Franklin County, Kentucky, from rural residential B, RB, to rural high-density multifamily district, RH. The property is identified as PVA map number 036-00-00-012.00, and the record in the deed book 611, page 261, in the office of the Franklin County Clerk. Mr. County Attorney.
I would make a suggestion to the court that someone move to reconsider the previous action of the court relative to scheduling an evidentiary hearing on the application to rezone the 25.45 acre property located at 827 Cardinal Lane in Franklin County, Kentucky, from rural residential B District RB to rural high density multifamily District RH. The property is identified as PVA map 036-00-00-012-00 and of record in deed book 611, page 261 in the office of the Franklin County Clerk. Based upon the applicant's November 17th, 2023 correspondence, and to make a decision based upon the planning and zoning record.
I so move.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Now, there needs to be discussion regarding the resolution and the proposed findings. I know we have the authorization to approve. I know we need some proposed findings in order to put in that resolution to have the basis for that resolution.
Squire Blackburn.
I make a motion to create findings of fact related to this based on the Planning Commission's recommendations.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Squire Blackburn.
Wait a second here, I wrote it down. I'd like to make a finding of fact that the proposed zoning is not in agreement with Goal 7 of the future land use designation on the comprehensive plan, and therefore not in agreement with comprehensive plan.
There's been a motion made. Is there a second? Second. There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Can I add one more? I'll make a, if I might.
You may.
I make a motion finding of fact that the proposed multifamily housing is not appropriate at this location because it does not serve as a buffer transition between a lower intent residential use and more intense multifamily use, commercial or industrial use. So it is not appropriate. The proposed is not appropriate yet. Maybe I should redo this whole work. Never mind, I withdraw all that.
Do you want to reread it?
You can go, I can, okay. I make a motion finding the fact that the existing zoning classification given to the property is appropriate and the proposed zoning classification is inappropriate. It's made it simple.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor
This
say
is
aye.
two ways.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Squire Wisman.
Judge, I'd like to make a finding of fact that the subject property lacks sanitary sewer capacity for the proposed zoning classification.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Squire Tracy.
Judge, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to close findings of fact.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Finding of facts is closed. So now I need a motion to approve the resolution based on the findings of facts.
I so move, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, court. Okay, want to make sure. Second reading approval of an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for a 3.13 acre tract from industrial commercial DCIC to highway commercial CH. The property is identified as PVA map number 050-00-00-092.03 located at 1003 and 1005 Twilight Trail.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve an appointment of Katie Marr to Franklin County Extension District Board 4H with a term ending December 31, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Welcome, Katie. Authorization to approve the reappointment of Philip Morgan to the Franklin County Extension District Board 4H position with a term ending December 31, 2027.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Philip, thank you for continuing to serve. Now we're going to receive the appointment of David Lodmill to Capital Community Economic Industrial Authority, DBA Kentucky Capital Development Corporation, KCDC, with the term ending December 31, 2026. We don't. Authorization to receive treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny payment of any claim? No motion was made. Let the record reflect claims are to be paid. So now we need go ahead, Squire.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to set an amount of professional services not to exceed $30,000 in order to hire lobbyists to represent Franklin County.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Squire?
I make a motion to authorize the judge to sign a contract for professional services to hire lobbyists.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. You have a question?
No. I want to make a comment, you can tell me if we need to add it. On the $30,000, that's for a 6-month period, is that correct? Should that be in that motion or not? Or do we need a separate?
It's up to.
That second motion didn't mention the financial amount.
Well, we did that on the first motion because he can't exceed 30,000.
Yeah.
But that was just to amend the agenda to add that. We didn't add that amount to the contract authorization.
Okay, you want to read that again then? So we do another.
So I made a motion to amend the agenda to set an amount in professional services not to exceed $30,000 in 6-month period for a lobbyist to represent Franklin County.
So you amended the agenda, now your motion
Now you have
states
to-
the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then
So, okay,
he
so
made the
6
motion
months.
and I seconded the motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
No.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. I believe that is it. So now we are going to recess until 1 o'clock to our road trip. I believe you all have all that in your folder here, so we are recessed. Thank you.